Welcome back to Brick and Brand, a podcast at the intersection of retail and entrepreneurship. We're your co-hosts, Delaney and Brettley Roach. Today, we're talking with Jeff Crabiel, the founder of Ugly Bagels, a brand proving that apparently bagels don't have to be pretty to have a cult following. Jeff has taken this really simple idea and turned it into one of Nashville's buzziest new concepts. It's a brand that's fun, it's memorable, and it's clearly built to scale and grow. So today we're talking why bagels, why ugly, and how to turn a product as familiar as a bagel into a brand that people just can't stop talking about. So Jeff, thank you so much for being here and welcome to Brick and Brand.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Hey, we're so happy to have
So
you.
much to get into. I know. When we talked a few weeks ago, I immediately texted Delaney and said, we have to have Jeff on. He has so much energy and he's doing so much, making such a splash. So this is going to be so much fun. So just to get right into it, for the listeners out there who have not experienced Ugly Bagel, tell us what it is, what's it about, and what did you see that was missing in this space that made you want to create the concept?
Yeah, so Ugly Bagel is all about joy. That is our mission. That is our what we do every single day. Our product is bagels, but our mission is joy. And so what we've done is we've created this quick service restaurant that allows fast food to be fun again. And that's the biggest thing that my partner and I saw coming out of the hospitality industry. Both of us had done 20 years in hotels and resorts where you're classically trained how to create memories and experiences for people. And what we saw that was missing in the fast casual space is everything seemed so transactional and there wasn't this experiential way of doing things. And so we really honed in on how do we build a brand that touches people in today's environment and also is a brand that will last over the next 20 years and really be positioned for millennial all the way to Gen Alpha. And so our focus has been about not just creating really great bagels, which we do on a daily basis, but it's about creating a feeling when you come into our stores. And so Ugly Bagel was birthed with one simple concept. We celebrate imperfection. We believe that nobody's perfect. We're not perfect. Our bagel fam, which is what we call our employees, aren't perfect. And instead of running away from that, we lean into it. And so every day we hand roll our bagels like the traditional way of doing things. And so sometimes they're a little cute, sometimes they're a little ugly, but we lean into that and we really celebrate the imperfections of the culture of Ugly Bagel alone from just the actual bagels themselves.
I love that. The Bagel Fam. What a cool name for it.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Yeah, times are changing. I think that like the employee, the customer, like those are all words we don't use in our shops because I think that that's a dated way of approaching a business. We call them the bagel fam because we always tell them on day one, take care of the fam before you take care of anything else. In order for you to be different in this environment and to really genuinely spread joy, it has to be authentic. And so we realized very early on, we're not going to script them. We're not going to tell them they have to say one word or the other when people come in. It has to come from them. And in order for them to be able to feel comfortable in doing that, they have to be in this family-like atmosphere. And so we dubbed it the Bagel Fam. It caught wind and really took off from there. And then we call our customers guests. And really the main reason there is a nod to our hospitality roots, but it's really about how do you welcome a guest into your home versus how do you treat a customer? And so we're trying to redefine kind of how people look at these businesses.
Yeah. I have a little bit of a hospitality background too, so I completely resonate with that. And it's just changing the words. Your guests, that's such a better word for it than customers. I can't even say the word customers. It feels so transactional to me. So I love that. And I think it really does make a difference. So you and your partner spent over 20 years in hotels and resorts in your hospitality background. So take us back to that time. How did you get into the hospitality world and what ultimately led you to transition into food and beverage and restaurant operations?
Yeah, you have to be a little crazy to transition into it. So I think I checked that box. But the reality is, I fell into hospitality, specifically into hotels, like a lot of people in this industry do. I moved down to Orlando at a very young age and needed a job, and that's the mecca of all these big hotels. And so I fell in love with the industry very quickly. I saw a lot of different people from different walks of life, and I just became super passionate about travel and culture and experience, and just continued to work my way through the industry, and eventually ended up in Nashville about 15, 16 years ago. And perfect timing. It was right as Nashville was starting to rise in the hospitality sector. And so I made my way through, and my last job was running 2 hotels in town here. And I really loved it, but I would say the thing that I found that kind of shifted me into this new category was I was getting disconnected. The further I grew on the chain, the fancier the title, the least I was doing with the guests. And that's really why I fell in love with hospitality in the beginning. Is it's not about the numbers and the boardrooms and the P&L statements that you review on a daily basis. It's about creating those memories with guests when they come to visit your city. And so over time, while I was finding myself being very successful in the corporate world, I just felt this disconnect from what I really was in love with, which was making those genuine connections. My partner, Jake, he was a chef, so a good marriage to have. When I was leading the hotels, he was
For
running the
sure.
kitchens. And so the idea really came out of 2020, like most concepts now. I was always really known as an employees GM. And I think the reason people called me is just because I've always had the heartbeat of the people more than anything else. And that was a really tough situation. You talk about going from about 340 associates down to 5 in 2 or 3 weeks. And the reason I tell this story is because, like most, everyone went through something, but that took a piece of me that never really came back. And it was one of those defining moments in my career where I said, okay, like if this happens again, like what am I doing about it? Like where am I going to go? What's this going to be? And I was lucky to be on the other side of that, but you never know. And so around 21, I started really hyper focused studying QSR, and I watched the Chipotles and Domino's and all these QSR concepts just take off, where we were running fine dining steakhouses, cafes, and they were just shuttering. And so really honed in on the bagel and specifically in the QSR space. And then when I really looked into it, I just felt, and I mean no disrespect because there's some great brands out there, but I just felt like the fast food or the QSR, however you want to call it, was just the most soulless piece of food and beverage that I had seen. Yeah. And it just felt like it's from a real lack of effort. And what I know now is that the Gen Z and the Gen Alphas that are coming up, it's not the same as when I was growing my career, right? Where you have to do this because that's what you're told to do, and you want to move up in the rank, and you want to do it. Now it's really about a fit, and do we give them a culture where they fit? And so I was trying to think of something that I could scale across the U.S. that would really touch on those future Ugly Bagel fan members, and so that's where Ugly Bagel was born. You kind of asked about why breakfast. I mean, breakfast is one of the hottest things out there right now. I think we're seeing a lot of trends around the country, drinking.
We definitely are.
Stuff like that. And so for us, it's the simple message of like, pay it forward. Like if we can get you into an Ugly Bagel and within 5 minutes, we can put a smile on your face, then we've really kind of told you what that brand is. And then you're going to choose whether or not you want to experience that. So that's where it all came from in a nutshell. Really just looking at how I can still have that personal touch with our guests that walk into the bagel shops now every day, but still create something that's a little different in the space than what we're seeing.
I think breakfast is absolutely the happiest meal of the day. So that's my opinion. So I get it. I believe it 100%.
It is.
I just love that perspective, Jeff, because you bring this unique approach to hospitality that I feel like is largely kind of lost with restaurateurs because it's such a difficult business and you can take such a beating. And that was one of the first things I noticed about you and how you've created this brand is it's all about joy. And that is very unique. I don't know if I've ever spoken to another restaurant operator who's had that specific mindset. So it makes perfect sense that this is the industry that you would want to go in and that you had that entrepreneurial itch of, what's going to break out on the national scene and kind of honed in on that. So I want to kind of go back to the very beginning of Ugly Bagel and how you actually got this thing started. Before you had any brick and mortar locations, you were building a following across farmers markets and different pop-ups across Tennessee. What did that experience teach you about the customer that maybe you would have never known before you launched brick and mortar?
Yeah, I think it just only really secured for us what we were thinking in our heads, that there was a space and a huge white space for us to come into this and be different. You talked about it. I mean, we're differentiator for a reason. We're the most active people at the farmers market. We were, asking people what they thought. We were, giving out free bagels to kids just to get feedback. We weren't trying to make money. And I think that's a little bit of a different approach than sometimes you see in these shops is we were really out there to hear what the people people had to say. And there was some great feedback that we used in our current recipes on whether it was, hey, I need more of this, or there should be more raisins in that, or whatever have you. But overall, what we just saw was the lines of people that were coming for our bagels, and we would really only hit one a weekend. And so we'd be in different parts of Tennessee, and it would just be like a cult following, as you said. I mean, it was shocking to us because we knew we had a great product, but we didn't know that it was that loved. And so everywhere we went, it would be like, can you open here? Can you open there? When are you opening? And so really what that did is it just gave Jake and I just a ton of confidence to move forward with what we were doing and really go on a very, very fast path. We've only been doing this for under 2 years. We've got almost 4 stores open now, a commercial kitchen and a franchise brand that just launched. So that's moving pretty quick on our terms. But we wanted to do that to meet what the consumer demand was. And we really think now is the time.
I really like the idea of starting with the farmers markets and building that brand awareness and that following before opening your first brick and mortar. I think that makes so much sense. And to see the immediate success and kind of just fandom around the brand and then feel so much more confident about signing a 10-year lease. You touched on it, but I'm just so fascinated by the name of the brand. I love the name Ugly Bagel, and it's so different than what's typically out there from a marketing perspective. But the hand-rolled imperfection is really the point. So how did you originally arrive at that positioning? And was there a moment where you were like, maybe second guessing having the word ugly in your brand name?
No, you always, as a business owner, you're always going to have thoughts in your head at 2:00 in the morning, right? I mean, I think that's normal. But no, we knew from the get go, Ugly Bagel was a great name. I'm a big believer that every brand has to have a name that's very recognizable, and it has to have usually a hidden meaning. So it's hard to see, but if you could see, you'll see the smiley face in our logo, and that again is just kind of sending a message to people about what we are about. Ugly Bagel happened by chance, really. So as Jake and I started coming up with the idea, the first thing I did is run to him and said, I've got this great idea, and I love marketing and I love branding. And so I'm like, I can put all of it together, but I need you to make a bagel, And so he spent a good 1.5 years in his home kitchen trying to perfect this thing. And he's he's one of those chefs that's just like perfectionist, right? Has to get the recipe exactly right to the gram of flour. And so about 1.5 years in, he had brought bagels that were fantastic. They were great. Like there's a couple times I told him, you don't need to change that. And then one day he came to me and said, he was so excited. It was like kid at Christmas. He was like, I've got it. I've got the perfect bagel recipe. And he sat this thing down in front of me. I remember like it was yesterday, and it was on a napkin, and it's hand rolled, which looks a lot different than a machine pressed bagel. A machine pressed bagel kind of has that perfect look to it. This one has a little bit of an overlap on it, almost like if you ever made homemade cinnamon rolls or something like that, And he sat down and he just had this big grin on his face because he's so excited. And I looked down at the thing, and I was thinking in my head, that looks nothing like any bagel I've ever seen before. And I literally just was like, Jake, this is the ugliest bagel I've ever seen in my life. Like, how in the world am I ever going to use this? Like, how do you expect me to go out and tell people this is the greatest thing? And we both just started laughing. And we have a very playful personality, the both of us. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We want to have fun in life. And so we started laughing, and I was like, there's something to that. And so, we just kind of went from there to then bringing it into full cycle into the marketing of what we do, culture, how we lean into that from our bagel fam and so on and so forth. But the name really happened because the first bagel he gave me was very ugly. Now they're beautiful today because we get people that have been doing it for a while. But, if either one of you started in the shop today, we could have you ready by tomorrow. And your bagels may not look like Jake's bagels.
Yeah. I love that the origin of that was so organic and natural, just talking at the kitchen table. And then you said it, and it's like, that's the best name, and it stuck. I have to ask, how many bagels did you guys eat to perfect the perfect bagel?
What are you saying? I gained some weight over the last couple of days. Yeah, no.
No, I'm just thinking how
we don't
awesome
have calories in our
be.
bagels. A lot.
Yeah.
You have to do a lot of running after work and so on and so forth. But I couldn't tell you hundreds, if not thousands, I would imagine. We did blind taste tests of all the national brands, the local brands, our own brands. We would do them with people. We would do them by ourselves. And the interesting thing that I guess I haven't brought up about Ugly Bagel is we like to keep it fun, both in our branding and in our culture. but also in our menu. So we do some unique things every month, which are called our monthly drops. And our fans, you could say, watch our social media on the first of the month. And this is really where you're going to see the 2 new bagel flavors that come in for that month and the 2 new cream cheese. And those are really the flavors that we let Jake go crazy and get creative and like come up with stuff you'd never see, a chocolate covered cherry bagel and, stuff that you're like, what is this? And, is it going to be your everyday bagel? Probably not. But what it is going to be is you're going to come in and say, I just want to try it on a Tuesday because I got to see if it's good. And so we're very playful with that in terms of our menu. It rotates very often. We've got our traditional ones that are always there. But when you talk about those, for instance, we have some coming out in just a few days. It was last October that we basically sat down together and said, okay, what worked, what didn't work in 25? Now let's look at what's 26. And it's this huge brainstorming session of flavors. We'll bring in Gen Z people, we'll bring in millennials, we'll bring in and just like talk to me about what you think is happening. And we really try and base our recipes over whether it's pop culture or seasonality or whatever have you, but really kind of tie in the month that you're in into registering somewhere in your brain as it makes sense. So that is a lot of tasting. So I try not to eat the week before I have to do that.
Just fast all week.
That's right. Yeah. But it's a fun job. It's not a hard job.
I love it. Yeah. I love the playful energy and not taking yourself too seriously and the fun new flavors. I'm so engaged and I haven't even tried them. So I feel like it's fun for your guests to follow along and feel like they're a part of the brand and they're waiting for those monthly drops. That's so creative and so fun.
It feels like a breath of fresh air, the way you're describing the brand, as I think about so many concepts and everything is so polished and everything is so built to be just cookie cutter. And it's the way you're describing it. It's like we can't help but smile and be like, well, I want to check and see what's on the agenda for, upcoming next month. And you touched on something we'll get into later, but I know that you have kind of built this to cater or to be directed towards Gen Z and millennial and kind of what that next generation of consumer is going to want and desires in their brand. So we'll get into that. I do want to continue to touch on your expansion. You did say at one point that Ugly Bagel was a concept that was built for the suburbs. And then you opened your first location at the arcade in downtown Nashville, which is not a suburb. What did that location teach you about the concept? Did you need to open in downtown to prove something first, or was it just a location that came across your plate?
No, it was intentional. I mean, we've always had the mindset that we want to take Ugly Bagel nationwide. And so for us, being in an urban tourist district like Nashville and specifically in downtown Nashville was so important for us to get right so that people from all over the country could see and experience Ugly Bagel when they're here on vacations. So we knew the first one had to be launched in somewhere where people from all over would be able to come in and try and experience Ugly Bagel. And it was a great proof of concept as well, because as you are familiar, if you are with Nashville, is it's a very heavy tourist driven concert, sports, stuff like that. And so we see these major rushes of people from all walks of life who have all different types of opinions. And that's great for us because we see, are we going to be successful in that part of the country? Do people tell us, hey, come to Utah, come to San Diego, do stuff like that? And it really kind of lets Jake and I understand what people outside of Middle Tennessee are saying. But as you said, we built this brand for the suburbs. And the reason for that is because most of the people live in the suburbs. And I happen to be one of those people that is always upset when it's like the new, national chain comes in and it's like, it's just kind of like, when are we going to get the cool concepts out here instead of having to drive into like a downtown, fight traffic, fight parking, fight all that stuff. And so I think you see some really great brands doing that. I think Seven Brews, I think Dutch Bros, I think they're doing a fantastic job expanding out to those suburban markets. And what that's doing is it's really putting a new age brand in front of the new age buyers, and they don't have to go into an urban city center just to get that cool experience. And so that's what we want Ugly Bagel to be. It'll work in an urban city center very well. It does in Nashville, but it also works where the people live.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. So you've got 4 locations. It's about 4 locations right now. We know you're going to continue to grow, and Ugly Bagel is going to be nationwide as you franchise and continue to expand. I'm curious, as this started with, farmers markets, it started very organically. As the brand is continuing to expand and grow, are there things?
Yeah, it's learning at every turn for sure. I mean, as you get bigger and bigger, things change, and certainly operationally, you have to be prepared for different markets and different things that
Right.
happen. And so we're learning as we go with that, and it's been a great opportunity for us to say, okay, how do we streamline some of our processes? And so for us, we haven't seen a huge learning curve yet. I think the advantage to the fact that Jake and I came out of this industry is we've been doing this since we were kids. And whether it's, from a staffing perspective and how you manage labor or how you manage your costs, we've built this system to really simplify that so that the operators that are inside of Ugly Bagel don't have to worry about 15 different things they have to do every hour. They can focus on the guests, and they can say, okay, now I can create an experience because I'm not weighed down with all of the other stuff I have to do. We're not perfect. We're definitely growing and learning, but I'd like to think that we've done a pretty good job setting us up for an expansion. And the 4th store will deliver next year in Nashville. It's being built right now. And then from there, we'll really focus on the Southeast as our expansion. We really see Ugly Bagel being successful really as Kentucky over to the Carolinas and down to Florida, around Texas, and back up in the beginning. And the main focus and reason for that is, why not Utah, San Diego? Why not go there? We want to be there. We definitely want to be there. But in the beginning, this only works if Jake and I and the team are supportive of our partners throughout the country. And so we want to be able to get there to support them in person very quickly if we needed to. And so we know the Southeast very well. We know our guests and we know our bagel fam. And so we think that there's something here that will work very, very well in the Southeast. And then we'll work on a national expansion after that.
Well,
Makes perfect sense.
I need you in San Diego, so the quicker the better. No, I'm teasing.
You've got a good one out there. I tried it not that long ago. You've got a good one out there. I cannot remember the name. It's killing me.
Is
but
it
there's a really good
pop-up? Is it
No,
pop-up
it's not.
bagels? No,
it's not.
H&H?
No. It's like a coffee shop that does. But I will email you after this because we were in San Diego. We were in Coronado maybe 2-3 months ago for a conference Jake and I were in. So of course, every city we go to, we're going to try all the different bagels.
You have to try all the bagels, yeah.
And it's one that you have there's multiple locations there. I'll think of it. I'll email it to you. I can't remember.
Okay, yeah.
No disrespect to them because it was amazing.
I'm a bagel fanatic, so I need to know.
Yeah.
I'm sure no, I really am. I probably have them 3 times a week. It's the best meal.
Yeah,
I'm
it is
curious,
the best meal.
what city do you think has the best bagels? In your opinion, from what is that too difficult?
That's a good question.
No, that's just a loaded question because I don't want to get myself in trouble here.
Nashville, obviously.
Of course, yeah. I'll just defer to Nashville and say we've got great bagels in Nashville. I mean, look, New York is king of bagels, and we never want to ever, go against what is a legacy play in New York. I think that, but what I really love, and you mentioned something like pop-up, I think what pop-up has done for the rest of us is it's kind of put bagels on an everyday routine. And so people are seeing it in their social feeds because pop-up does a really good job at that. And what that is doing is it's creating almost the next cycle of coffee shops, right? Where it's like, hey, I love this coffee shop. Well, why do you love it? Well, my friend loves this one because this is better, but I like this. Everyone's going to find what they love, but I think bagels are here to stay. I think you're going to see a surgence of bagels over the next 10 years in just about every market.
Yeah. It's such an untapped space.
I agree.
So you touched on something earlier about how you want your franchisees and your operators to not be so bogged down with all these things to do and to remember. And so you've tried to streamline it. And I would imagine a lot of that comes through what we briefly touched on before, but your background in hospitality. And you're also the chief hospitality officer at Castle Rock Asset Management currently. So how does having this deep background in operations and development help you when it comes to actually site selection and growth? Because I don't think that's something a lot of restaurateurs have. Those are kind of 2 different schools of thought, and you're blending them both. Is that really helpful to you when you're evaluating real estate?
Yeah, it is. And I think it's even more helpful to our partners as we continue to expand. You know,
Yeah.
I have a background where
Yeah.
we've built and purchased hotels and sold and done all of the things that you need to do from a very large standpoint. So when you're getting down to building a bagel shop, it's almost very, very small in nature comparatively to the business that I came out
Yeah.
of. And it doesn't mean that it's easy, but it does mean that if you know how to build a $150 million hotel, you can figure out how to build a bagel shop. We're really
Yeah.
proud of the way that we've developed our pre-development plan all the way through the site build. We're building these things in under 100 days and opening the stores, which is pretty quick for most places.
Wow.
Landlords seem to like that very much. And that's just because
Yeah.
even though we're fun and playful and joyful, like we're very methodical about business, and that was the way that we built it. You touched on Ugly Bagel. I mean, we've measured the amount of steps it takes for the bagel fan member to get from the cream cheese station to the coffee station and back. And the reason for that is because
Wow.
over a week, over 52 weeks, over 5 years, those steps become non-productive payroll. And so even though you wouldn't know that going into it, like
Wow.
these things have been
Interesting.
designed to optimize everything, even from when we talk about the bagel fam. You know, the reality of the quick service world that no one can beat is turnover is a real thing. Now, we've been really lucky because we drive culture that we haven't had a huge problem here, but that doesn't mean that we won't ever have that. And so we've got our training down to a day and a half. You know, why? Because we spent so many years in the hotels, and the
Wow.
challenging thing is you would train somebody for 3 weeks, you've got the perfect person. What happens on the fourth week? They go somewhere
Yep.
else, right? And
Yep.
it's like,
Yep.
3 weeks
Yep.
of all this time and energy and effort spent into
Yep.
that, and money if you're a business owner. And so we have really tried to build Ugly Bagel to think through a lot of those challenges that we got to experience as operators in our own world. And how do we perfect that to the best of our ability? Again, nobody's perfect, but we certainly have created this space with all of the costs in mind and really being very efficient.
Yeah, that efficiency is so key. You're preemptively solving problems and providing solutions before the issue is even there. And I think that the turnover and unproductive payroll, it's a huge thing in hospitality, and being able to find a solution and find a way to maintain the culture and make your employees and your bagel fam want to stay. So kind of building off of that site selection process, what's one thing or a couple things that you look for as far as real estate opportunities that maybe most landlords wouldn't realize is a deal breaker for a concept like yours?
Yeah. Deal breakers for us, obviously, we have to make sure that there's strong anchor tenants, visibility, all the common things that you're going to see everywhere. But what we tend to do is we actually follow some of those brands that I had mentioned before and just kind of watch as they establish themselves in the market, because their target demographic is the exact same as ours. So if you see some of those concepts come and be successful, we know that in that general area, there is those buyers that are looking for that type of experiential thing. And so we'll really hone in on some of those competitors and watch where they're going and kind of see. Obviously, we want brands that align with what we're trying to do. We're looking for brands that bring energy, more newer age concept brands within the area. For us to go in and be in a shopping plaza with nothing but legacy brands, it's okay, but that's probably not the people that we're looking for in terms of our guests. And so we really try and focus. Real estate is real estate is real estate. It's always about business. It's always about the right location and the numbers and all that kind of stuff. But what the one value that I think a lot of people underestimate is like what is already in the daily rituals of people in that area. And if it's, I love going because there's another bagel shop, like that doesn't scare us, because again, we're going to be different than the other bagel shops, or my favorite coffee shop. If it was like, I love that area because I go to the bar every night there, it's like, that's fantastic. And maybe I want to go hang out there, but I'm not going to open a bagel shop there. Right. And so
Yeah.
a lot of times, really for us, it's more about evaluating the area than it is the one singular piece of real estate.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And so what I'm hearing you say, I think, is that you are not afraid of competition, and you will, in fact, seek it out because you feel that your concept is so different.
Yeah, there's a national brand that everyone would know by name that I won't mention, that was a block away from us at our second location in Cool Springs in the Franklin area of Nashville. And it didn't scare me at all, because actually what it told me was that place had been there for over 10 years. It means people are going there for 10 years as a part of their daily habit and getting bagels. Otherwise, the business wouldn't be successful. And so we knew that coming in there, we are providing something that's uniquely different than what our competition was. And it proved to be correct.
The clientele was already there. and the daily
The
habits
clientele's
and their
there.
routines and all of that. Yeah.
Takes a little bit of the risk out of it, or the fear knowing that the clients are there. So speaking of new age and the type of customer that you're targeting and the uniqueness of the brand, you've built the Bagel Concierge, and I want you to describe this in your own words. But what I believe it to be is like a dedicated team member who kind of walks the guest through an ordering experience. How did you come up with this idea? And it kind of blends leaning into AI and automation and people sometimes wanting their own space, also with that personal touch. Two opposing ideas kind of in one. Was this your idea, Jeff, or your partners, or how did this come about?
I love my partner, but this is my idea. So thank you for bringing it up.
You take the credit. Yes.
Yeah. So we are 100% digital, which means we are a kiosk-based model system. Now, the way that Ugly Bagel was developed is when you walk in, there are glass walls, half walls that the Bagel fam faces you. So immediately there's engagement from the door. That was very intentional. I do believe that the digital approach is the way that food and beverage is headed, especially in the QSR space and especially in the fast casual space. But there are a lot of bad players out there as well that use kiosks as an excuse and use it as an excuse to whether it's save labor or give bad service. And so we knew that we were going to get a mix of both people that were anti-AI and computers taking over the world, and people that are like, I love this. I want to just come in and no one talk to me and do my thing. So we filled that gap with what in traditional places you would call an expo person. We call it the vibe setter, which is the Bagel Concierge. And so the vibe setter is really the most crucial piece hire in that entire shop, because the Bagel Concierge is there to read our guests and understand by body language and by nonverbal cues, do I need to meet them over at the kiosk and walk them through our menu? Could be they come in, they're kind of looking around. Could be they come in and kind of look at the kiosk and say, oh, again, give that face of like, oh, this reminds me of the airport. And it's their job to meet them where they want to be met. And so usually it just starts with like a friendly, like, oh my gosh, I love your shoes. Those are awesome. Hey, welcome in. Do you need anything? Because I can either help you with the ordering or I can get you to try something. And, no, I'm good. Okay, whatever. Or we get people that are like, this intimidates me. And what we do is we go over and we show them how to do it. We never just take it for them because we want them to see just how easy the concept is. Our menu is very streamlined. It's very easy as someone in the restaurant business say, I want 100 different things because anyone can get whatever they want. Jake and I, on day one, before we opened Ugly Bagel in downtown Nashville, we looked at each other and said, let's make an agreement right now. We are who we are and we're not going to change that. And so our menu, while there is customization available, and if you're in the shop, you can get anything customized you want. You just have to ask. But we try and limit that. And that goes back to a couple of different things. It goes back to the Bagel fam, where I told you I've been in environments where it's 50 different things they can order. And you're trying to look up and smile and also do this menu that is so crazy. So it makes it easier for the Bagel fam, but also it allows our guests to not be over anxious with a gigantic menu. And so that Bagel Concierge person is really the one to greet you every single time and really to set the vibe and the tone of what we're about. It's a crucial part. They're still doing expo, so I didn't reinvent a new position. All I said was, you're not just going to stand there and read a name out. You're actually going to set the vibe. And so that's what the Bagel Concierge is.
I love that. And the vibe setter. I love what you named that role.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Yeah. It makes so much sense because I feel like you see that. You're absolutely right that the digital and the kiosk, I think that is the way that especially fast casual and QSR brands are going. But then to be able to meet people where they are and kind of preemptively figure out what their needs are and how can I best serve this person so everyone feels welcome and wanted. And it's an easy, comfortable process.
Jeff, one question on this because I'm so curious, like Delaney. How do you hire the vibe?
Yeah.
This person that manages vibe. Do you hire them off their vibe, or how do you know how they will be with the customer?
I mean, you know, right? Like when they come and sit down in front of you and they're applying for a job, and it doesn't matter if it's their first job or their fifth job, you pretty much can pick up really quickly on somebody that's not afraid to smile or, hey, how are you? Or even I'll just pick up on subtle cues as you're sitting with them. Are they looking around and attentive to people that are around them, smiling as people are walking by? I was interviewing a young lady the other day, and she had this really great hair color, and somebody was saying like, oh, I love your hair. And she was like, oh, thank you so much. I love your shirt or something. And I was instantly like, vibe set. better, because it was just one of those things where
So cute.
you either have it or you don't. And by the way, it's okay if you don't. We still need people
Totally.
that are very operationally sound and not social butterflies like everybody. But that bagel concierge position has to be somebody that just genuinely loves engaging with people. And so it can be a unique find, but what we have found is by not putting them into a script and not forcing them into this disciplined way of doing it, but say, be authentically yourself. Like, what would you say if your friend came in? Like, you wouldn't say like, good afternoon, welcome to my apartment. So like, why would you say that in the bagel shop? Like, what are you going to say? Like, I don't know what that is. Hey,
It's a
chat,
great
I don't know what it
point.
is today, but whatever they want to say is what they're going to say. And that makes them feel so much more comfortable in their own self because it's just like they're talking to their friends. And that's what we're looking for.
Yeah. Treat the guests like their friends or family. And I feel like, too, it also all comes from the top and you and your partner embodying this. Don't take yourself too seriously. Have fun, smile, not being afraid to compliment somebody or smile or make a joke. I really think that as a leader, that trickles down and your bagel fam sees that and is like, oh, okay, it's okay for me to be myself. And this is the energy that we have here. So I love that. So Jeff, in 5 to 10 years, where do we see Ugly Bagel? What's the trajectory and what are some of your goals?
Definitely San Diego because I need an excuse to go out there. But no, we will.
It's the only correct answer.
Yeah.
And Dallas, of course.
No. Oh, Dallas is going to be before that. We don't have to worry about that. Dallas is on the map right now, so we've got to figure that one out. But in all seriousness, over the next 2 to 3 years, we have a real strategic approach to growing in the Southeast and really focusing on some of the bigger markets, Texas and Florida and the Carolinas. We want to own Tennessee first and foremost. I mean, we want to be the Tennessee bagel of choice. We're homegrown talent here. We believe in this state, and we definitely want people from all walks of the state to be Ugly Bagel fans. But really for us, as we see the next, I'd say 24 to 36 months, we see in the Southeast. From there, we really expect to grow regionally. We see ourselves going more into the West Coast and somewhat in the Midwest. It's not to say I won't go out into the Northeast, but again, we know the king of bagels out there. And so that's a tough crowd to try and say we're doing something different. We'll see where that goes. But yeah, we're really excited. I mean, Jake and I are big West Coast guys. We love going out there. And so we think there's just a huge white space for it out on that side of the country as well. But right now, the main focus remains Tennessee and the Southeast.
Exciting.
Are you and Jake, are you guys beach guys? Are you surfers? Are you, snorkelers?
Yeah. I am. I wouldn't say he's necessarily a beach guy, but no, I'm definitely a beach guy. I think Jake could be. He's a little bit more reserved than I am, but Jake's more the hiker. He's the hiker, so he'll hike more than do it. Yeah, so
we've got
he's
some
going to
great
run
hikes.
3 miles by the time I'm getting up and drinking my coffee. That's the difference in the relationship. Yeah,
what a great partnership.
Yeah.
You'll have to text Delaney next time you're out there. She's
for sure.
You're a pretty good surfer now. I feel like I always try and I'm horrible, but
I wouldn't
Delaney
say good,
can catch a
but
few
I can
waves.
stand up and
That's awesome.
I have to be able to surf a little bit.
I don't know how to do any of that. I will probably fall over, but I'm willing to try anything.
Okay.
So fun though to be out there.
It's so fun.
What a beautiful area of the country too.
Yeah.
She's very lucky.
Not mad about it. My wallet is mad, but not mad about it.
Well, there's that.
Yeah. Jeff, we'd like to ask this question at the end of every episode. What is a piece of advice you would give yourself if you could go back to starting Ugly Bagel or even back to the beginning of your career in hospitality, now in retrospect with all your experience? What's one thing you would remind yourself?
I would say just treat people the way that you should be treating them. And as basic as that sounds, like I made a career off of people that just invested in me because there was something about me that they saw. It wasn't a piece of paper, wasn't just the experience that came over time, but I just treated people the way that you should be treating people. And it goes kind of back to one of our core values at Ugly Bagel, which is everyone deserves a smile. And I just have this deep belief that like the world sometimes can be really dark and gloomy and really hard. And like, I just feel like more people need to wake up like I do with a bunch of energy and feel really good about the world. And just no matter what's going on, people need to smile more. And so I think I just made my entire career by really treating people with respect and valuing what they bring to the table and that has proven itself over and over and over again to me. And so I would say 1000%, you can forget about all the numbers. If you don't have the people part right, there's no point in getting in business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something we just need in the world right now. Put the bagels aside, put the fast casual, put it all aside, and just the message that you're sending.
Yeah.
I think we all need to hear that with so much negativity. Like, it's okay to get up and smile and laugh and do something fun, try a new flavor. It's just very refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We celebrate imperfection, right? I mean, the world wants you to be perfect and nobody's perfect. And so let's stop worrying about that and let's start embracing imperfection.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that energy is so infectious. I can feel it coming off of you on the screen. Like, it's literally,
Yeah.
but it's contagious.
Appreciate it.
And so anyone that interacts with you or your brand or any of your bagel fam is walking away with a smile on their face or feeling better, or feeling like their day has been improved. And that's just like, that's so beautiful. And also, why wouldn't I want to come back as soon as possible? You know, it's so authentic.
Right.
So, Jeff, you're awesome. We love Ugly Bagel. Thank you so much for being
Thank
on
you.
Breaking Brand. This has been so great. And I'm just so impressed by what you've built. And it's so evident that your values and your core mission are still at the center of everything. And as Ugly Bagels continues to grow and expand and franchise, those people values and that people matter first and leaving your guests better than when they walked in is going to stay with you guys. So I'm so proud of what you've built, and I can't wait to have you in California and all over the country.
For sure. Well, I thank you both, and congratulations both of you as well. I mean, this is a giant leap of faith for both of you, and it looks like it's doing what it should be doing. And so I'm really excited to watch your journey over the next few years as well. So maybe we'll do a
Thank
bagel
you, Jeff.
podcast, and I'll bring you guys on and ask how you got to where you're at. That would be one. We could do that.
I would love
Thank
that.
you
I
guys
would
for the
love
time.
that.
I really
Also,
appreciate it. It's been
can we eat some
great.
bagels on the next?
We can.
Can we eat
Yeah.
the bagel?
Yes.
Can we do a
Yes, we
tasting
can.
on our
We
next
can do
episode?
that.